Hi everyone, it's Joel from 8400 Lights, and in today's episode of Lessons Learned the Hard Way, I thought we would talk about pixels and pixel voltages. Now, I've got a couple examples of some pixels here with me. These are our standard bullet node pixels, 3 wires, and then this is an example of a pixel strip. Now you can typically get these in either 12 volt versions or 5 volt versions, depending upon the needs of your particular instance. And again, there are pluses and minuses to both voltage varieties of pixels. These happen to both be 5 volt versions, and it's always been told to us that you don't want to use the wrong voltage power supply with your pixels. So if you have 5 volt pixels, make sure you have a 5 volt power supply. And again, 12 volt pixels, make sure you have a 12 volt power supply. But have you ever wondered what would happen if you did use the wrong power supply? So I've been working on building some new pixel props this year to add to my display, and am now working on assembling my pixel controllers themselves. Now I have started using the Falcon controllers, and one of the things I like about them is they have these things called differential receivers, which allow you to extend your pixel outputs to multiple locations without needing individual controllers at each separate location. The other nice thing about these smart receivers is that you can daisy chain them together. So in building my controllers, I wanted to do some testing of how to daisy chain my different controllers together. So this one is my main controller here that I have pre-built already. And as you can see, this blue wire is going to run to this first smart receiver that I am testing how the daisy chaining works. And then I have another cable here that runs over to my second smart receiver that I've already got built into this case here. And then I have one part of my pixel prop here, which is plugged into this case, and then another part of my pixel prop there, which is plugged into this smart receiver. Now again, I wanted to test the daisy chaining functionality of these smart receivers, so I quickly set up this power supply in this case down here, and then ran a power line to the smart receivers and wired everything together. However, I've also been doing some work on my 12 volt floodlight systems that I have. And when I first grabbed a power supply and wired all of this together, I did not pay attention to what voltage it was. I had not labeled the power supply, which was my bad, and wired everything up and turned it on. So I effectively sent a 12 volt power supply to a 5 volt pixel strip. And if you want to see what happens when you do that, we'll fire all this up. Okay, I've got power applied now to all of my controllers, and I am not sending any signals to these. It's just power, but you can see that my one strip of pixels here on the left on the ground is not lit at all, which is what we would expect to see. But this other strip that was connected to the 12 volt power supply by accident is now lit up and is staying that way. So that particular strip of pixels is definitely fried. Okay, I've gone ahead and pulled out that pixel strip from that casing it was in. This is the damaged one. And unfortunately, it would be kind of cool to see some scorch marks or something on it, but it really doesn't look any different than a normal functioning strip would look. I can't see any visible damage from the wrong voltage being applied to this. But this strip is definitely dead. So Lesson learned, make sure you use the correct power supply when you're wiring up your Pixels. Here's the offending power supply that I used. Tips to make sure that you are using your correct power supplies. Make sure to label them. This was not labeled before, so I wrote on this that it is a 12-volt power supply. So now I know when I look at it. Another tip that I've seen is on your connectors that you use. If you're going to use both 12-volt and 5-volt Pixels in your display, to use different style connectors on your 12-volt versus your 5 volts, which is not a bad idea at all. When you're out in the field and assembling things, then you can make sure of that. That would not have saved me in this case, as this was an error that I made when I was assembling my Pixel controllers. So I hope you enjoyed today's Lessons Learned the Hard Way. Please subscribe to our channel at 8400 Lights and enjoy. Thanks much. Bye-bye.